Togetherness Media. This is Anthony Powers, and I'm so pleased to be here with you today. All right, we have an amazing guest today, and we want to wish everybody the best. We've missed you guys when we aren't here, but we've been dealing with a few COVID things out here on Togetherness Media. But we are still here for you, and we are still here together. And today, we have an amazing man with us. We have an insightful man who has great taste in sports teams, and he also has great insight in life. We have my main man, the amazing Dr. Kade. What's up, Doc? How you doing, brother?
Anthony, how you doing? I get all my
Good. You look
power
so
from
sharp
you.
today. Man, you look
I don't know
amazingly
about
sharp
that.
today. I
I
see you. I see you.
one of those shirts. How are you? It's good to
Just
see you.
good. You too, brother. I'm divine. I'm divine. Speaking, we
You
were
you
talking
said it
about
right.
being
It's the
together.
pandemic, but we are here.
Yeah, we're here. We keep going. Sometimes we get slowed down, but we never get stopped. We just
Absolutely.
keep going. Yep.
Life
By
is
the way,
dynamic.
Lakers,
It has up and down.
li- life is dynamic. I tell people all the time, there is, if you go on any journey, if you're to drive from here to the Bay Area, you'll experience different types of topography. Sometimes you'll be going on a flat road. Sometimes you'll be going downhill. Sometimes you'll be going uphill. And oftentimes when you go uphill is when you're actually struggling the most. You feel your ignition shifting, your engine's making that sound like, you're going through so much, you're burning more gas, but you're going uphill. Life is sometimes the same way. Sometimes when we're going uphill, it seems so hard, but it's because of the growth. It's on downhill, it's easy to slide down.
Absolutely. And I think the
Don't you
topic
agree?
of tonight, yeah, absolutely, I agree. The topic that I picked for tonight actually speaks to that too, because in order to do better when the life is about going uphill, we have to be equipped by it.
Yes,
And we have to be
exactly.
equipped spiritually. We have to have our own
Mm.
independence, our own frame of mind, our own way of thinking, processing information, making changes in our own life and in the life of others. And I truly believe that. And I think that obviously, as everybody would agree, it starts with the family. I mean, I know that
Exactly.
the government's role is very important. Absolutely, I'm not discounting that, or the school system, extremely important. But the family is the root of all the independence that we can create within ourselves.
It's the foundation. Rather it be through the
Absolutely.
positive or the negative. There are certain
I,
correct things we learn from our families. There are certain things that we see in our families that we learn as cautionary tales. And we say, okay,
mhm.
I saw what happened over there, and I don't want to be that. So, whether for positive or negative, our family
I hope
teaches us so much.
I hope whatever I share tonight is not taken out of context, because I sometimes when you share something in perspective, people sometimes will take it and they will label themselves and they think, oh, so I came
Hmm.
from a bad family, or I came from a good
Yeah,
family, or there is something wrong with my family. And we shouldn't look at it that way. This is just a
yeah.
generalization that I'm making about what does it mean to be or to grow up in an enmeshed family, rather than having
Hmm.
healthy boundaries, which would facilitate our growth in a normal,
Yes.
more healthy way, more independent way. So I hope it's not taken out of context. But when I
Yeah. Just
picked the
before you
topic,
continue, if you don't mind. Just
sure,
to accent what you says, there are different gradients of levels of health, and everybody who's out there know we're coming from a place of non-judgment and a place of love, and if even if there are aspects of our families, we're dealing with it and we're growing and we're healing together, and that's why we have Dr. Cade here today. Please continue, brother.
I hope I hope that is exactly how it's taken, not out of context and nothing. Yeah, because sometimes when I share some information, people say, "Oh, so you're talking about he's talking about my family, or he's talking about me. I'm having issues,
Yeah.
or it's that's not what
What you say about
that's
my
not where I'm
mama?
going." Exactly, exactly. What do you say? I have the greatest mother on earth. What are you talking about? Be quiet.
Yeah,
But
yeah,
I think the topic that I'm talking about, it goes back to maybe over 100 years, 200 years,
yeah,
way back in the past. People were concentrating more on family, and everything was about to basically you would exist to take care of other people in the family.
exactly.
And
That's good.
that
It's gone back for thousands of
unfortunately,
years.
yeah, and that unfortunately became sort of an enmeshed family. Now, what do I mean by enmeshment?
Hmm.
Enmeshment means the family has no boundaries.
Yeah,
Enmeshment means it's about the parental needs. You have to meet my needs. You can't have your own voice and choice. It's about
yeah,
you don't really find your own identity. Your identity is what I give you, and what I
yeah.
tell you your identity is. And unfortunately, that becomes that with that comes a lot of other issues, which is like, for example, criticism. You're never good
Hmm.
enough. They compare
Yeah,
you with your brothers, your sister, your other family members. Look how the other guy's next door neighbor is, and you're not
yeah.
good enough. So it's not about your self worth, like having a boundary,
It's about their
setting
pride.
it that way that you are good enough, and I like who you are, and then
Hmm.
therefore I look at myself and I like myself the way I am. I don't have to be
Exactly.
good enough. I am good enough. And
Exactly.
that's there's the difference between enmeshment and healthy boundaries, and the other one is more
See.
of a sort of a possessiveness. You must
Hmm.
base your decisions based on what I think is good for you and what makes me feel good. So that means if I'm the parent, I will decide where you should go to school, what you should study, what you should become, and
Hmm.
how you should behave. Therefore, um, it this is the way family is supposed to function. That to me is
Yeah,
more possessiveness. Now, I'm not
it
talking
is.
about giving the chance to the child not to have its own autonomy. I'm talking about when you're controlling everything. Everything is under your control, and if it's not that way, you start criticizing it. Then the
Hmm.
person feels, well, I'm not worthy because I'm not meeting your needs. Autonomy is more like I make independent decisions on my own. I think for myself. I can hear you, and I can accommodate the things that you're sharing with me, the information you're sharing with
Yeah,
me. But I don't necessarily have to follow what you're telling me, and that is not
exactly.
the source. That is not supposed to be the source of information that I'm supposed to receive. The source of information I'm supposed to receive is everything and anything that exists on Earth.
You know what I
I'm
tell you,
not
Doc?
supposed
I
to just
love you
get the
just the way you
information
are.
from the family. Exactly, exactly.
I love you just the
You
way you
said it
are,
better.
and that's
Hmm
and the
We,
big thing I always tell people is that the one thing that whatever you want to call it, God, the Creator, Allah, like whatever. I don't care which religion you are. Source. One thing that we are all given is the power of free will. Each of us were, and I say always be
mhm.
careful when you're in any type of relationship where you're free when somebody tries to take away your free will from you, because that is one inalienable thing that we were each given as individuals. And the people's connection to family, and in a lot of ancient cultures, especially Eastern cultures, your surname comes first. Like if your family's name was Chen and your name was, Suan, your name would be Chen Suan. Like the Chen, like the family's
Absolutely.
name would come first. You see
Hmm
that in some parts of Africa, you see that in lots of parts of Asia, and oftentimes in more communal cultures, because people are expected to be to follow in whatever the family was already doing, because they weren't
Exactly.
opportunities. But now in a world where there are opportunities, where people can do the things, and it's always, and I always say the weird change the world. And oftentimes
Absolutely.
it's that weirdo in the family, that oddball in the family is put in each individual family to be part of the family's next move of evolution, to be able to move into the
And
next part. So there's always that weirdo in that family whose job it is to bring the family forward in a way that it wouldn't if it stayed status quo. Do you agree?
and look at the way some of the families structure themselves. They keep the kids needy. So
Mm-hmm.
if I'm the parent, I'm supposed to meet your needs.
Yeah.
That means I do know what it is that you need. You don't need to tell me what it is that you need. And that's where the healthy boundaries are not there. That's what I'm
Mm-hmm.
talking about when I say it's an enmeshed family, meaning I think I know what's good for you. I just tell you and I will do it for you, and then you're going to be okay. Rather than
Even
I
back in the days
regulate
when
my
people
own
used to give
emotions.
the arranged marriages back in the days, like it was one of the
Exactly.
craziest types of enmeshed.
There we go. You just said it. Or they would open a business and they were running a business and they would expect you to grow up and start working in that business and run it. It doesn't matter if you
Mm-hmm.
like it or not.
Exactly.
That was supposed to be your responsibility because that's the
Exactly.
duty that I bestowed on you, and you should be very appreciative and meet my needs. That's how it was,
Yeah.
right? But in
And they didn't
today's
care if it's
in
your
today's
dream.
world, that
I don't
doesn't
care what your
work.
dream is. I don't care what your dream is. This is what we want for you. This is the pragmatic
Absolutely.
approach. Yeah.
Yeah, even my own father was like that. He would say, "I want you to be a doctor," and he
Hmm.
told my brother, "I want you to be an attorney." And if you can't be that, I don't care what you're going to do. It doesn't. Nothing else matters to me. That's what I want. So it was not about. I regulate my own emotions again, and I take the responsibility for myself and for my behavior and for the decisions that I make for my future. It is supposed to be meeting your needs, and that
Hmm.
is unhealthy and it should not exist in today's world. Maybe it would work hundreds of years ago, but today it doesn't work that way. Today it's not about that form of mentality. It's about rescuing family, right? So
Yeah. And some of those things
I
aren't
will
even
serve.
needs; they're wants.
They
Like it's
are
like I
absolutely
like we just call
so.
it yeah, I don't like your needs. Like I'll help you meet your needs, but things are just your wants and desires. You don't need me to be this. You want me to be this. You need me to love
And
you and make sure that I'm there for you if something happens for you. Those are things we need from family. But once
right.
you want this for me. What you want for me can't supersede what I need for you.
Right.
So
When
that's
you
super
pass a
important.
Absolutely. And when you pass a certain age, we are supposed to give the chance and the voice and choice to the kids to make that decision on their own, because that's how you become
Exactly.
an independent thinker. That's how you become a self-regulated person that is not dependent. Your emotion is not dependent on what family thinks about you or what everybody else thinks about you. It's about what you think about yourself and how comfortable you are within your own soul, within your own body.
Exactly.
And that comes
And the
only
people,
when you give them a chance to be independent.
exactly. And you have to trust enough that you put in the right amount of love, the right amount of wisdom, the right amount of information so that they can make the decisions for themselves. If you believe that you did the right job as a parent, then you raise somebody who will find their destiny. Then you raise somebody who will find what they're supposed to be in the world. And for those who have family members, I was someone who was wanted to be who they were wanted to be a lawyer, and I was on the fast track to politics and so other stuff. But I could I was too honest to be a politician. So I had to leave that so that was an aspect of life I couldn't because I couldn't compromise in certain ways and there was too much ego in it and I just saw people becoming things and I saw so much in the background where people it wasn't about helping the people it was just about individually people it was just about helping themselves. So that's something I had to
Mhm.
walk away from. And sometimes we and to what was to say to thy own self be true. If we're not true to ourselves, then we can't be true to anyone else, and we'll end up with so much resentment. And if we push somebody to be something they don't want to be, they'll end up resenting you as well. And that, like in the long
And
term,
they will
that'll hurt the family.
absolutely, and they will start hurting themselves as well internally. So
Yes, yes,
you don't
yes.
just hurt the society, you hurt yourself, because now let's say you're a 25 year old man or a woman, and you're thinking,
Hmm.
so all I am is about what needs of the family I can meet. And
Hmm.
if I, God forbid, if I can't meet those needs, then where is my value? Where is my self-worth?
Exactly.
Where is my, yeah,
Do you
so
find
you feel imbalanced. You feel like I don't have the autonomy or self-worth. It's not there. I'm not good enough
do you
because
find
I
that
haven't met
depression
your
and
needs.
addiction are often symptoms of people who are too confined by enmeshed families?
Yes, absolutely. Enmeshed families, it's hard to describe because when I talk about enmeshed family, it's about parentification. It's about the
Hmm.
control of the family under the umbrella of love and need. But it's not necessarily the love that you're looking for. It's the love that they're injecting in you so that you can
Hmm.
return that love twice as much to the family, back to the family. So
Yes.
it's about a fake loyalty. I don't know if I can put it in better words, but it is not advocacy. A family that truly loves you and cares about you advocates for your needs, your
Mm.
needs. That means
Yes.
you have the chance to come up and ask your family. Let's say I'm your family member, I'm your dad, right? You will come and ask me what it is that you need, and I will do my best to provide it for you. I don't
Hmm.
necessarily set the narrative for you and tell you, you know what, Anthony, these are your needs, and this is what you should be doing. That is
Hmm.
enmeshed family, and that is not advocacy. Advocacy is
Yeah.
I I will provide what you ask me to provide for you.
Hmm.
It's a very different thing. That means I give
Yes.
you the voice and choice to tell me what it is that you need to become a better person in life, to make a better person of yourself. I don't necessarily write a narrative for you and say follow it, right? But
Hmm.
unfortunately, a lot of families actually do write the narrative because they think they know better, and they
Yeah.
live through their kids. So,
Mm.
for example, let's say a mom and dad, they wanted to go to medical school for so many years, right? And it didn't
Yeah.
happen. Guess what they do when the kids grow up? They want to
Live
send them to medical
vicariously.
school.
Yeah.
They want to live their own life through the kids' life. That's
That
horrible.
leads me to my next question.
Let them live their own
How
life.
much? Yeah, they want to live vicariously. So how much of enmeshment comes from arrogance of I know what's right for you and you don't, and how much of it just comes from selfishness, from fulfillment of unresolved needs or fulfillment of societal approval. Especially, you see a lot of enmeshment in really close communities. Is one thing you see enmeshment in a lot as well. So, how much of enmeshment is usually between
I,
selfishness, arrogance, or ego?
it is hard to point it that way because if you ask a family member, if you truly ask the mother and father of a child, they will tell you, no, I'm doing it out of love. And they truly believe that. So part of it is
Hmm.
unconscious, part of it is learned behavior, what they have already learned from their own parents, from generations past. It's been passed down to
Hmm.
them. That's how it is. If your parents took care of you and you met their needs, and you did what they wanted to do, and you live the life that they chose for you, exactly like
Hmm.
what you said earlier. Marriages were set. You're going to marry this person. Am I sending that marriage because I want you to fail? No, my intention is actually for you to succeed. That's why I planned that
Hmm.
marriage for you. But it is wrong because this is what you have learned, but in today's world it's not going to work. It won't work.
Yeah.
But their intention is not really selfishness. They think they're doing it out of love, but it's not. It is
But I'm
actually
saying, could it
comes
be
out
out
of
of arrogance?
selfishness.
Would that come out of
Yeah,
arrogance?
absolutely. Because I think I know better. I know better. I'm
Yeah.
trying to teach you. All you have to do is just sit down, listen to what I have to say, and then you just go do it. That's
Hmm.
basically what the parents do these days. A lot of the families, I see that a lot, and I try to bring them into collaboration, bring them into let them let them decide, let them choose. You guide them as best as you can, but don't decide for them. And I know it's
Yeah.
extremely difficult when you tell a father or a mother, don't decide for your child. I do my
I know
own
what's
work,
best.
and I do my own work, and I appreciate all the help that I can get from my family.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah.
You don't have to write a narrative for me and then ask me or expect me to follow that narrative from top to bottom so I can
Yeah.
meet your needs. What about then what's
Yes.
going to happen to my needs? I grow up and I feel imbalanced. I feel like, okay, I never did anything that I wanted to do with my life. I
Hmm.
never made my own
Yeah.
choices. I always followed somebody else's choices. And then
Yeah.
if you grow up with that, and that sometimes, unfortunately, if you don't go out there and gain some insight and gain some wisdom, you really believe that they did the best they could for you, and you will do the same for your kids. That's how the cycle
Yeah.
will continue. You're not going to
Yeah. One
kids,
thing
and
I
I
would
tell
say
them
as
what.
well. Sorry.
Go ahead, please.
Um, yeah, no, like that cycle, and the thing about that cycle is, I'm a huge fan of etymology, and the word enmeshment and the symbol is mesh, as in net. So it literally means the state of being entangled. And there's so much entanglement between when you're in that type of family environment, and then when things that are tangled, they're unable to reach their full potential. If your arm is stuck over
Absolutely.
here, then you can't, then you're only stuck with one arm, and your field of vision isn't fully. And when we entangle our families in this way, another word for being entangled is trapped.
Trapped.
We trap each other in certain ways, in certain lifestyles, into certain ideologies, and into certain barriers and certain boundaries, so that if we aren't able to expand fully. It's like a butterfly where only part of the cocoon is able to burst. You can
You know,
only your head and feet are coming out, but your wings are still stuck inside of the cocoon.
absolutely. It's the difference between interdependency and dependency. In
Yes,
a format of when I talk about enmeshment, it's you're dependent. It's about what would serve the narrative that was given to you. Now, let's say you grow up and you decide to break out of it and don't follow the narrative, and you decide,
yes,
I'm not gonna be a doctor, I'm gonna be a musician, right? Even if you become a good musician, you still feel, some part of you feels, are they satisfied? Am I still good enough for them? This is where the emotional trauma keeps developing inside a person. Am I good enough? Am I validated by them? Do they find what I'm doing good? Is it serving their needs? That's constantly in the back of your mind because you grew up with that, and that is why I say it is a wrong method to use within the family. A family that is interdependent allows independent thinking by every
hmm
single individual in the family. Of course, the structure
I
of the
know.
family is still supposed to be loving each other and caring for each other, but it does not mean you should control each other and write narratives for each other. There's a
If you weren't a
distinction between
doctor,
the two.
if you didn't become a doctor, what would you have done? I can see you being an amazing beat poet, but what would you have been if you weren't a doctor?
You know, if I don't really know what I would be doing. When I was 6 years old, I wanted to be a police officer, and that idea, well, it immediately got crushed by my dad. He
Hmm
was like, "Police
Yeah,
officer, are you crazy? You should become
yeah,
a doctor. Police officers are useless." And 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 that basically just washed it, right? It went away
yeah,
because I'm like, okay, if he doesn't approve it and he doesn't like it, I can never be even a good police officer. Do we
yeah.
have great police officers out there that are saving people's lives? Absolutely. So I don't think
hmm
that was a good idea. I think he should have let me decide on my own. I remember, I think I shared it one time. My daughter was 9 years old, and she was sitting in front of the TV watching President Obama, and she said, "Oh my God, what a great speaker! Where did he go to school?" And I told her that he went to an Ivy League school and became an attorney. She said, "That is exactly what I want to do." Did I say
Yeah.
anything after that? I said, "Good for you." And I supported her,
hmm
and she just finished the first semester in law school in New York. And that I
Nice.
supported her in the
She goes to
decision that
Columbia,
she
right?
made. She goes to Columbia. My other daughter,
Yeah.
my younger one, said, "I want to become a businesswoman." Fantastic. I
hmm
do not know anything about business, and I'm not sure what you will do with a business degree, to be honest with you, because I'm not that smart. But I support her dream and her vision, and I will give her anything that she needs. I will allow her
And
to
you
be an independent thinker
exactly.
and decide for herself. And don't follow my
And you know how
narrative.
well
I
you
don't want you
raised
to be a
them.
doctor.
You trust
Yeah,
in how well you raised them too. You're like you know what you put into the young women that you raised. You know that you gave them love. You know that you gave them information. You know that you gave them wisdom. You know that you gave them emotional intelligence. So you know that everything that you put in, you trust the work and that you and your wife
Absolutely.
did with your daughters.
And to be honest with you, I think even from a very young age, the only thing that I told them, I said, even if your parents tell you something, do your own independent investigation. Just because a
Yeah.
parent says this is what it is out there, it does not mean it is what it is. It is what I think it is. But what you think it
Hmm.
is after you do your own independent investigation and looking to everything, every other possibility. It's multifaceted. It's like a diamond with a lot of facets. I'm giving you the
Yes.
facet that I'm looking at from the side that I'm looking at. You are supposed to go out there and see if you can find other facets and take a look at it globally. Like look all around it and see
Exactly.
maybe you will find another way that you want to deal with life, right? We can't
I
always
say our
follow
pers-
parents' narratives.
I say our perspective depends on our position of which we look through the prism.
Hmm. So it's
And
always like that. Don't you know? You do not have to take my glasses and look at everything with my glasses,
exactly.
because then all you're gonna see is what I see, and you may not like it. It may not even work for you. You're supposed to
And
use your own glasses.
exactly. Life is like an impressionist painting oftentimes. You know, if you're too close to it or if you look at the painting from a different direction, you can't really see what it is. And you have to look back. And just like life is like abstract art. Like one person may see something and like they may see one thing and then somebody else may look at it, they may see a completely different picture, the exact same painting. And we have
Yep.
to appreciate that the person sees this painting of their life through this way. And
Hmm.
man, I love this topic, Doc. I'm so happy that you're
To
because so many people
one
are
more thing,
afraid to follow our dreams.
I wanted to
Go
just
ahead.
share one more thing. It just popped into my head. When we talk about the subject of enmeshment, it goes back, like I said, it goes back years, 2 years before. But life at that
Thousands,
time
yeah,
was mostly about, yeah, right. Life at that time was mostly about survival. I will do whatever
exactly.
I have to do to survive and make sure my kids grow up, right? So you
Yes,
would find the best narrative that was handed down to you by your parents and by the society, and you would follow that narrative to make sure that you survive. Today's world is not
hmm,
about survival. Today's world is not about survival. Today's world is about taking risk and becoming more than your parents, more than what they were.
exactly,
And you cannot follow their narrative and think that you're going to be better or bigger than them. It would be
exactly.
foolish, in my opinion, to follow that narrative, because this is not about survival. You and I are not trying to survive right now. We do in the fundamental way. Yes, every single person is trying to survive. But in the past, if you would not follow that narrative, you could actually end up dead,
Yeah,
right?
and
So
also
you would have to
in
follow
the
what the narrative
past,
your father gave you.
also another thing about today's world compared to the worlds of yesterday's is the social economic status or caste status in certain areas that you were born in. You're pretty much stuck in that level. You're never going to, it would be extremely rare to be able to raise from your social level that you are at. And now the social levels in the modern world are so mixed and switched around different ways. And also the ability and availability of advancing past or higher than the social status or caste status that you're born in is so much higher today. And now, and old things that used to not be honored in certain ways are honored now. Like their professions that that were once considered joke or laugh at, professions that are now gaining more power. They're gaining more notoriety, and they're gaining more abundance than they did in past times.
Absolutely.
And we
In
just,
my time when I was in my time when I was growing up, I remember musicians back in my country or singers back in my country, they didn't have that much status. Nobody wanted their
hmm,
kids to become a singer or become a musician.
yeah,
What do you see in today's world? Everybody wants their kid to be a singer or a
yeah,
musician, right?
yeah,
It's so different now. Everybody wants their kid to become a big time comedian.
yeah,
If you would talk about that 200 years ago and say, I want to become a comedian, they're like, what, you want to be a jokester? Go get a job.
You want to be a clown?
Work in the field,
Yeah,
right? You want to be a clown?
yeah,
Go get a job and work in the
yeah,
field and be quiet. Don't even think about it,
yeah,
because I'm going to
exactly.
disown you. It would go as far as I will disown you. You're not going to be part of this
Yeah,
family anymore. So you were bound by the structure that they would set, the narrative they would
exactly.
write, and you would have to follow that narrative. This is what I don't ask people to do. And one of the reasons I wanted to talk about this topic tonight is because some of the clients that I get now, I have a gardener whose son is about 19 years old, and he works for his father. He does gardening and all that stuff. And then he said, I want to become a gardener, this son told me. I said, why?
Mm-hmm.
He said, because this is what I know what to do. This is how I know I can live with this. I can make money with this. I said, so you don't think at age 19 you can go back to college and actually be something else? He said, like what? I said, you haven't tried it yet. Try it and see what. Go out there, sign up, get
Mm-hmm.
some classes, start doing the preliminary work, and see what else is out there for you. I'm not saying that you shouldn't be a gardener. I'm saying just don't follow the narrative just because your father thought it's best and that's the only thing he knows. You can be
Yeah,
whatever
maybe you go
it
to
is that
school
you
to
want to
college.
be. Right.
Exactly.
What
Maybe
is
you
it
could
that
go
you
to
want to
college when you
do?
come back, and even if you don't want to be a gardener, maybe even if you do decide to come back to be a gardener after you've explored and learned more about the world, maybe you can create an entire
Exactly.
landscaping company that will shift things. Maybe even if it is as a gardener profession, you may become a master landscaper. You may become a master horticulturalist. Like even if it is in the same vein, but give yourself that opportunity to
The
explore it and
opportunity.
see if I need something different or if I want to do the same thing, but just take it to a whole nother level.
Absolutely. And I implore with the parents, please do not write a narrative for your children and think, God
Yes,
forbid, that they're stupid. They don't know enough, and I should give them a narrative so they can read it and follow it. Please don't do that. Allow them to
exactly,
experience their own self worth. Let them have their own choice and voice. They are good enough. Every single human being that comes to earth is good enough in the eyes of God, is good
exactly,
enough. It should be in the eyes of the man. It should be. They are
exactly.
good enough, and they do have self-worth, and you can meet their needs where they ask you, and when they ask you, the need is supposed to be met. Don't don't
Yeah,
take care of all of their needs for them so they can become paralyzed and they can't take care of themselves, right?
exactly.
Let
And
them
don't
become
confuse their needs
independent
for your
thinkers and
wants.
independent, right? Let them become independent thinkers and independent doers, right? It's about what
Yes,
you can become, what you can become. Life is all about what you can become, what not what
exactly.
you're going to be told you're going to be. It's not about what you're told you're going to be. It's about what you can become. Becoming
And
that
allow them to
person
make mistakes.
should have, yes, exactly. Becoming a person like that requires a lot of advocacy on behalf of your child, giving them that independent choice and voice, and then let them take responsibility for themselves. Don't always take responsibility for them, fight every battle for them. A lot of parents
Hmm.
jump into every battle and try to fight it for the kid. And they don't even allow the kid to catch a cold, for crying out loud. Let the
Yeah,
kid catch a cold. It's okay, right?
build some
Let them go
immunity
ride a
up.
bike and fall. Exactly. Let them go ride a bike and fall and break a leg. It's okay. Nothing is going to happen to
Yeah,
them.
yeah. In our generation,
It's better
I
that way.
laugh. I, I laugh. I say, kids these days, they're like, they wear knee pads and everything. They don't allow themselves to get hurt. And if they do get hurt, everybody makes a big deal. In our generation, I died once. My dad just said, rub some dirt on it and keep moving. It's back in the
Exactly.
days.
Yeah.
We,
I would
we
I
have to
would
be
come
allowed
in
to make
with blood all over
mistakes.
the place. Yeah, I
Yeah,
would come in
yeah.
with blood all over the place,
Oh, you
and
died for five
my
minutes.
mom
It's
would say,
okay.
"Go
Rub
wash
some
it
dirt
off."
on it. Yeah,
Right. My mom would say, "Go take a shower, clean it up, wash it, and that's it. And let's have dinner." That was it. Now we put
exactly.
50 different things and a big old helmet on their head and all of that. We may talk about
Exactly.
this is maybe in a physical world, but we also do it in the emotional world. We try to
Yeah,
safeguard them so much that they lose their own emotional skin. Anything that
exactly.
happens out there bothers them. Anything that happens, look at the way we pass trophies in school, for crying out loud.
Yeah.
One person wins, everybody gets a trophy. What's up with that?
Participation
So you're
trophies.
not.
Yeah, yeah. We didn't
I
we didn't
I
get
I
participation
understand the
trophies. The
I
experience was your
understand the
trophy.
concept. I understand the concept because you're coming out of love and all of that. But can you imagine if the NBA one team becomes the champion and they give trophy to every team?
Exactly.
Why?
That's not the way.
Then
It's not the way the real
you
world works.
that's not exactly that's not the way what works. Why don't you put that energy and drive for them to become the achiever and then let them be recipient of the award rather than hand it down? Let them be the
Exactly,
recipient of it. That means they have
and teach
shown they
them
have. Go ahead, please.
and make sure they understand that the experience, even when you're not the winner, what did you learn from the experience? Like I enjoy playing basketball. My better sports are football, wrestling, and martial arts, but basketball, like I knew I was never going to be anything in it, but I enjoyed the experience of it. And so, like sometimes when,
Exactly.
like even if they're not the best in something, so yeah, whatever it is, but what did you learn from being part of the team? Like that, like what did you learn from working with these people? What skills did you learn? And by making sure that they learn the lessons from the experience, I think that means a lot more than all these fake
Right.
arbitrary awards.
Absolutely. And I think when I talk about the fake award, I completely understand the concept when somebody tells me, well, the kid is going to feel hurt. We have to give him something. I get it. Give him a candy. You don't need to give him a
Yeah.
trophy. The reason for that is when you give them the trophy, they will think that they deserve it. They will grow up thinking
Mm-hmm.
that I deserve it. So even if they have shortcomings in the future, they feel entitled. I'm supposed to receive a
Yes.
trophy for the things I never did, right? I'm
Exactly.
supposed to get a diploma. Even if I don't graduate college, I'm supposed to get a diploma. It will make the person feel that I'm entitled to it. This is not
Yes.
something that you're
Earn
giving
it.
me. I have to receive it. Yeah, it's not about earning anymore. It becomes like I'm entitled to a special treatment by the society. Because when I was
Mm-hmm.
growing up, everybody was giving me a special treatment. At school, I didn't do anything. I was sitting on the bench, but I received a trophy. My mother gave me a trophy
At
at
the
home for not doing nothing.
Give them a pin. Give them a certificate of completion, but no trophy.
Right.
Pin like which color. I finished this. I competed in this,
Thank
or
you.
give them yeah, or like give them a piece of paper certificate, like for like But
You
trophies are like don't because they rest on their laurels. You don't like laurels. The term resting on laurels is that people used to get thrown laurels, and like when they came back from winning battles or doing something heroic, that people will throw laurels at them. And one thing you never want to do is rest on your laurels, especially on laurels that you didn't earn.
it will take away the feeling of achieving something. It
And
will take
drive.
away the feeling of, yeah, it will take that edge off. And you will feel that I have to do bare minimum and I'm supposed to, and I'm entitled to receive something for it. Give me a Rolex watch, because I just did something. And the real world doesn't work like
You
that.
want
So
gold or
when they go
platinum,
out
Doc?
there,
What do you want, gold or platinum?
I like my platinum.
Which
That's what I. But seriously, when you grow up and you go into the real world and they don't pass out trophies, then you feel like I'm not good enough. That's where the dilemma is, right? That's when you feel
Yes.
hurt.
Well,
You
Doc,
feel your self
we have
worth
to,
goes down.
man, I've loved this conversation with you so much. And is there any last words you want to say to people and also tell people where you're at?
I just wanted to make sure that people do one thing. Please just collaborate with each other. Don't dictate anything to your kids. It doesn't work. Collaboration. Let them have a voice and choice. Let them say what is it that they need. Meet them at their level, where they're at, and they're going to be just fine. Give them some trust. Give them a lot of love, but more
Yes.
importantly, trust. They will do okay. You don't have to worry about them too
Yes.
much.
Well, thank you so
And
much, Doc. And that's all right. They have to
thank you.
love your people, love, but trust is such an essential part of love. And we have to
Absolutely.
love our kids, trust what we put into our kids, and trust them to make the right decisions. You can't like love
Trust them.
without trust. Those two things cannot go together. And I
Yeah, and that
love
would
and
create
I trust
self-worth
you,
and
Doc.
autonomy.
And I'm so
Thank
happy
you.
that you're on the show
Love you
today,
too.
my brother. And thank you once again. LeBron and AD, by the way,
Thank
rated 1-2 players in the NBA.
That's right. And we're going to
We'll
do
see
good.
you
We're
next
going to do
time,
even better
Doc.
this year.
Man, this is
Definitely. See you
Dr.
soon.
Cade, my homie, your homie, insightful man. Hit him up if you need some help. And stop tangling your kids in your own dreams and your own messes. You heard it from the man
Let them
himself.
be free.
And he preaches what he practices, and he practices what we preach. And we're so happy that you are here on our show together, this media, to teach. I love you, Dr. K.
Thank you, Anthony. Love you too. Have a wonderful night. Take care.